Welcome to the CACR page. I am so excited to be here with all of you. First of all, let me take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Susan Dentino, and I'm going to be coming in to give you some tips. In different times, I'm going to come once a week and just kind of update you on some things I think you might find beneficial to start your business. And here I go talking with my hands already, but it's part of who I am. So first of all, let me introduce myself to you, tell you a little bit more about me. In 2004, I took angel therapy practitioner training with Doreen. And for me, it was a life-changing situation. I mean, I just really felt like I had finally found my home. So I so can relate to all of you out there and how you're feeling in this community. After that, I took quite a few classes, met some of my best friends, and just have really made spiritual teaching a part of my life. I pretty much make a living at it right now. Now, I'm not saying I make a great living, cancel, delete, but it's definitely something that I do and I really enjoy. So what I'm really hoping is that I can give you some tips that are going to help you as you're starting in this wonderful, exciting business of being a certified angel card reader. So I do want to tell you that I do many things. I teach classes in meditation. I teach classes in oracle card readings. I have a book out right now called Songs of My Life, slightly out of tune. And just as the title tells you, it's all about just a humorous approach to life. So I'm going to be sprinkling my teaching in with a little bit of humor because teaching is a passion of mine. So here we are together. And what are we going to talk about today? Well, I just think right now we're thinking about spring, we're thinking about all new things, so why not talk about parties? In particular, we're going to talk about an angel party. And this is just a great way to really get your business going. And I've created a really easy way for you to remember the tips that I'm going to be giving you today. It's using the word party. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, and that's what we're going to be talking about. And right now, I'm pretty much going to be just focusing on what I want to tell you. I will start looking through the comments when I pause a bit if you have questions. But what I'd highly recommend is maybe you grab a piece of paper and take some notes. And this will be available on my, my YouTube station once I get that up. So you will be able to revisit it and watch it. So, angel parties. Okay, what I want you to do is just remember the word party. And for each one of those letters, I'm going to have a specific suggestion that I think is really going to help you. So let's begin with P. Okay, how do you do one of these parties? Well, the first thing you want to do is prepare, okay? Usually what'll happen, and I actually had a family member who volunteered to do this for me in the beginning, and it's kind of like a Tupperware party in that you have a hostess who invites a group of people. Now, when I began, I really made sure that there was at least 3 people and not more than 8. And that was just me. You can set any minimum, maximum that you want, but for me, that really worked out best, 3 to 8. Then what you do, obviously you set a date, a time, work with the hostess's schedule. You're going to give the hostess a free 15-minute reading or use whatever you're charging for a 15-minute reading and let her really utilize that. Maybe she wants to book a longer reading with you. So that's the hostess takeaway, okay? So you tell the hostess to invite however many, again, people that you've settled on. Then you decide, I strongly recommend going 15 minutes. I think going less time than that is really a challenge. So you want to go 15 minutes and then come up with your price. Now, if you're new, maybe it's something you want to, really think about. I always go to my angels and ask them what I should be charging. So when I first started, I was doing 15 minutes for $20, and that really seemed to work out well. I let the hostess collect the money because for me, anytime I don't have to collect my own money, I just feel more comfortable allowing her to do that. The one thing I will tell you, and I have learned this the hard way, make sure you stipulate with the hostess that there is no alcohol to be served. I did not learn that easily, and I didn't say that. And the one time I went to a party and the margarita mixer was going crazily, and I had the unfortunate situation of doing a reading for a gentleman that was a little bit, not a little bit, a lot inebriated. And he started getting a little bit aggressive. I started getting a little bit nervous. So from then on in, I really knew that this was not something that was going to be okay. So I really, say that first thing. And if it's something that the hostess isn't comfortable with, then, you just explain to her, well, those are your rules, and maybe you can do something another time. But that's one thing I will say, no exceptions to that. No exceptions, no alcohol. Okay, so that's the P, you're preparing. Hostess is really taking care of all the inviting, you're setting prices, you've got everything going on. Now we come to A, and that's arrive, okay? So I strongly suggest you arrive 15 to 30 minutes prior to really when the party's starting. You want to see your space. You want to make sure that you're comfortable, that you're someplace where you're going to have privacy. Now, I have done these parties where it's like a family group and they'd like to do like gallery readings. It's not one of my favorite ways to do it because sometimes things come up and you're not sure if the person's going to be comfortable with other people listening, but that is an option. If it's something I've done it once for, I think it was like a 40th birthday party, and they just wanted to have fun with it. I went along with it. So when you arrive, you check out your surroundings, get into that intuitiveness that you have. How do you feel in the home? Just kind of make sure you've got your little protection, whatever it is that you do, and, get into a zone where you're feeling comfortable. I always make sure that I am very clear on where the person lives because I am directionally challenged. So what I do is I make sure that at the time I used to print directions out. Now I use my phone. But there have been times when I've gone in the past to a home that there was two places like with the same address. So make sure you're clear with the hostess exactly where the house is. Once you get into your space as to where it is that you're going to be doing your reading, you might want to smudge. I always like to bring a favorite crystal. I've got some selenite sitting right next to me now. Maybe a candle, that gives you a sense of peace and well-being. And you also want to give yourself an opportunity to just, really feel comfortable in the space. So just make sure that you do that. Okay, so now we've got P and we've got A, all about your arrival. Now the R, right? Relax. Remember that this is your time, that you're really putting something like Doreen has said, if you get nervous, focus on service. So just allow yourself to relax. What I always would do was give a little speech in the beginning. I'd introduce myself and I'd tell everybody what it was that they could expect. What I found is there were times that what I would call drag-alongs came. And what I mean by that is somebody would just bring a person that really did not believe in any of this, but wanted to just come to the party, kind of under resistance. And at that time, I just kind of explained what's going to be happening, how they can approach this. I explain that there won't be dark readings and where I go for my information. And this way, if somebody is not feeling comfortable, I give them an opt-out. Even though, say, you had a minimum of 4 people for your party and one of the people just didn't want to do it, give them the opportunity to opt out because you don't want anybody uncomfortable in your energy. And again, as you're doing this and you're introducing yourself and you're meeting everybody, it's really going to help you to relax and just get to a place where your readings are going to be super accurate. So relax, just keep that in mind. Now the next letter is T. And I know some of you might be a bit uncomfortable with this, but believe me when I tell you, this is just like with no alcohol. This is a necessity. You have to bring a timer. Okay. Now, if you're doing 15-minute readings, what I would suggest you do is have your timer go off at 13 minutes. By doing that, that gives you a couple minutes to just kind of give yourself, time to really get the reading all concluded. So there's not any looseness as far as what it was that you wanted to say. You got everything really done. when you're doing something like that, using a timer, like I say, sometimes it can make you be a little bit uncomfortable. So when I'm giving my little speech before I go back with people, what I do is I explain I'm going to be using a timer, and I make them understand it is for their benefit. So everybody has their turn, because if you have 8 people and you're doing 15-minute readings, believe me, if those readings start going over, it will be a challenge. You'll be in your jammy spending the night there. So that's why this is so important. So I'll make a joke about it, and I'll say, now I promise you that timer isn't going to be going off in the beginning of me saying something fabulous, and I'm going to tell you your time's up. So again, you just kind of get used to doing a little bit of a speed reading, so to speak, that you're going to give them a nice, decent sample of what it is that you do. And one of the things is, you really want to look at this as a sample, because you're hoping what's going to come from this party is that you're going to start really building your client list, really getting people that are going to come to you for private readings that are a little bit longer than just the 15 minutes that you're doing at that party. Okay, so the timer, again, you can use your phone. I have found personally I prefer a timer, because using the phone means that you might get a text, you might forget to turn your phone off, and there's nothing worse than having a phone ring while you're doing a reading. And you also want to make sure that you tell the people that are coming in for their readings to have their cell phone silenced, that this is their time. And again, you just get into this whole idea that it's kind of a nurturing experience for them. So it's something that you really want them to devote their own time to. So we've got the P, prepare, the A, arrive, the R, relax, and the T for the timer. And now we've got the Y. And the Y stands for you. This is all about you. You're making all the rules. This party can be any kind of party that you would like. If you're running a class, it's a great time to market your class. Put out some brochures, have some flyers in the back. If you have products that you really want to see move, if you ask the hostess, maybe she'd allow you to set up a products table. I have a children's book out, a meditation CD out in addition to my book, and I would always bring those there. Maybe somebody is looking for a gift. Again, you clear it with the hostess, make sure she's cool with it. But then, sometimes people would be looking for gifts, and I'd sign my children's book to one of their kids or whatever. I really more or less used this as a marketing opportunity that was not aggressive. So what I mean by that is that I would have my business cards, and please, that's the number one thing, and we're definitely going to be talking about that. If you don't have business cards, really, it's essential that you get them. I think it's the first thing that you really want to do to make yourself feel exactly who it is that you are. So if you have your business cards, I'll usually have them on a table as they come in, and then I'll have them on the table that I'm doing the readings on. So you want to use this as an opportunity to get people to come and just really, they're getting an idea of who you are, what your energy is, and then they can decide whether or not they're comfortable getting a full reading from you. And that was what I would do, and that's what I found really worked for me, is that I would get clients for my classes, I would get clients for readings, and it was just a wonderful tool to get myself out there. So the why, all about you. What is it that you would like to accomplish in this time, and what is the takeaway? And we always know that there's balance in these things. It's a give and a take, and you just then decide if this is something that resonates for you. Now, I know that some of you that are listening are thinking, wow, this is a great idea, and maybe for others you want to start in some other way. And we're definitely going to be giving you more options as the weeks progress. But I just thought to jumpstart our time together, I mean, what better thing to talk about? St. Patrick's Day, there's so many people out there partying, and there's so many parades and things. I just thought it would be a great way to start this coaching with you, is to talk about the angel party. And again, like I said, I had quite a bit of success with it. One of the other things, again, what you could say, and again, this is all up to you. Remember, we're talking talking about the why with you, is maybe you could share with the hostess, if somebody from this party books a party, then I'll give you another 15 minutes, and maybe give her a 30-minute reading. So again, it's all getting incentives to motivate these people to really just join you in this venture. So here I am, Coach Susan, on the CACR page with your very first idea for starting your business, and that is Angel Party. So what I'm going to do, and see, it's really humid here, so I see my glasses are fogged up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at some of the comments here and see if you have any questions that I might be able to address. Okay, so let's see. Oh, we got a hello from Tennessee. Let me just see if we could go through here. Okay, I see some people are kind of putting in ideas for readings. One thing I would like to say is that I do moon cycle broadcasts, full moon and new moon. When I'm doing those broadcasts, I do mini readings. I also do mini readings on my radio show, which is every Tuesday. It's on W4CY.com radio, Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm actually going to Harry Potter World tomorrow, so my show will not be live this Tuesday, but I'm really looking at this as being really an opportunity to give you information that I think you're going to find helpful. So I'm not going to get into readings. This could change down the road, but for right now, I'm primarily looking for questions that you might have regarding having a successful angel party. So I'm going to take a look at this again, yes, with my fogged glasses. Okay, let's see what we got here. So we've got somebody that's attuned to Reiki. Okay, yes, and somebody's talking about they haven't gotten their business cards yet. They're working on their websites. Those are all really powerful tools, and there are so many different affordable ways to do this. What you could do as far as cards go, you can actually go to Vistaprint and have cards printed for you for free. And I really think business cards are the first step. And the reason I'm saying that is because when you see your name on an official business card and you have certified angel card reader next to it, it touches your heart. It gives you that authenticity. When I got my first business cards, I actually put them up by my computer so that I was looking at them. So I thought, wow, I really am an angel therapy practitioner or a certified professional spiritual teacher or a medium, whatever, my cards. Well, they didn't get bigger because they probably could have. But again, I always use that. And I just feel that it's just a way it's an energy thing. It's a way to say, wow, you earned this. You deserve to present yourself to the world like that. So really check it out. And again, we're going to be talking about all of this in the weeks to come. But what comes to mind, and I know there's many websites like that that'll give you X amount of cards for free. Doing that. Getting a website too, I think, is certainly something to look at. And I want to make sure that I mention to all of you that my website, which is my name, SusanDentino.com, I just posted a new free download on my website. It's a Awakening the Heart Chakra meditation. It just went up the other day, and I'm really excited about it. And one of the things talking about these angel parties that I think is important to remember is to make sure that you're in a really good space, because when you're in this situation, you've got all different energies. And like I said, you might have somebody that's a drag-along, not really keen on being there. So you want to make sure that your energy is nice and sparkly. If you've got a clearing technique you like to use, or, a prayer you like to use, when you're in that room, wherever it is that you're going to be doing those readings, set your intentions that you're protected. Bring in your angels, whatever your guardian angels are, whatever angels you like to work with. I always bring in Raphael for healing, Uriel for clarity, Gabriel. I work with Gabriel all the time, being the writer, so she's with me all the time, and Archangel Michael, to make sure that we keep everything nice and secure. One of the things I wanted to mention too, as I gave you that example, about, feeling a bit uncomfortable during one of the readings, make sure somebody always knows where you are. I would be going off doing these readings and nobody would know, doing these parties, and nobody would know where I was. And when I was at that home and I was feeling unsafe, I realized that nobody knew where I was. And from that point on, I really made it a point that at least somebody in the family had an address and really knew where I was. Now, I know times have changed. We've got all these gadgets now, but like your phone, and people can probably track you that way. But just make sure, and if at any time you ever do go into a home, and again, your psychic hits are telling you this is not a safe place, not some place for you to be, politely just make an excuse, and you can be honest, speak your truth and just say, I'm not feeling up to this today. And just, use that guidance, because whenever we're going into situations that we're not familiar with, it really is important that we use that intuitive ability that we have. So let me just see here. So many hellos. Thank you so much, everybody. Let me just... Okay, so Michelle is talking about email readings. Again, these are all things that we will address and talk about in the future. If you're more comfortable doing email readings, that's a great way as well to get started. And if you're building a website, you can do all of these types of things on your websites. Like I said, what I want to do is just devote each show. Next week, we're going to be meeting on Saturday at 12 noon, and we'll look at some of the ways that I really think, and that's 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, that's next Saturday. We'll start looking at what I feel are your essential beginning tools. Let's talk about a CACR survival kit. Oh my gosh, I love that. And so we'll start talking about all of these types of things, but I'll talk about what it is that I think you really need to get started. And again, we'll talk about business cards. I'll investigate a few more websites and different ways to get those going. So let's see, talking about email readings. Okay, that's Lapita. That's a good question. What kind of spread do you suggest? What I normally do is I'll have like maybe 3 or 4 key decks. I'll usually bring my goddess deck, I'll bring my fairy deck, I'll bring one of my angel decks, and then I usually again intuitively think, okay, what is it that what other deck should I bring? Usually once the person comes in, I've got a good feel if they've got more fairy energy around them, more angels, if they're going through some kind of a transition time right now, maybe, big birthday coming up and they've stepped into their goddess energy. Based on that, I'll choose the cards. Usually what I'll do, because again, these are angel parties, so that's what people are expecting. I'll usually make sure that I pull from at least one angel deck. And then I'll just allow my intuition to see where we're going with the other cards. I think 3 cards is usually about as much as you can get to in a 15-minute reading. And again, keeping in mind that we're going to have that timer set for 13 minutes. So I think that if we really look at, using those decks and sticking with, the ones that you like, you feel comfortable with, I think a 3-card spread is really appropriate for a 15-minute reading. Okay. All right, let's see. A lot of hellos. Okay. Okay. What would I suggest people do while waiting for a reading? That's a great question. And what usually I will also say in the whole little speech I give is that what happens in that room is totally confidential. Okay, so if they want to come out and talk about what happened, that's great. But if not, then that's fine as well. So I make a point of saying that these readings are confidential. You can decide what you want to do with them. So sometimes I find this more often than not. The first person that gets a reading will go out and start talking about their reading, and it really gets everybody excited. Usually the hostess will have food out, and I will say I have seen some incredible spreads at these things food-wise. So there's usually a social aspect to it where people will be visiting, will be eating, and I will suggest, maybe again, talking about some subjects that might be metaphysical in nature. And one other thing I usually do, and again, this is dependent on the energy, because some of the groups I feel are open to it, some not. So I don't push it unless I feel it, but I'll do a little bit of a mini meditation to just get everybody relaxed. Now, I want to say this. If I've got a big group, like 8 people, these things will be a little bit different because I don't have that time. But even to just do a 1-minute breathing exercise, and I really am very clear on telling people to set their intentions as to what it is that they would like to get out of their readings. But I often find that if I'm being solicited to do one of these parties, usually the hostess has got definitive ideas of how this is going to work. So it's either a Gail get together. I've had people that have included me in their book clubs where it's something to do, you know, while they're discussing the book. So usually the hostess will have a pretty good idea as what subjects they want to discuss. And most of the time these people are very familiar with one another. They're friends or family. So it's usually a social gathering with the bonus of getting a mini reading. So you could really, if you again would like to encourage something going on, but I usually have found that that is not necessary, that we'll do a little bit of deep breathing, get everybody relaxed. I go in my room and let nature take its course. So that is a good, yes. Do I limit the attendee numbers? I personally won't do more than 8. Because again, like I said, that's really, if you stay right on schedule, which you don't, even with the timer, that's 2 hours for a reading. You figure you need 15 minutes for your introduction. Now that's me personally. Maybe you're somebody that would be comfortable doing 10-minute readings, more people. I would say your limits are really up to you. Like for me, I definitely now have a 5-person minimum. I won't do an angel party for less than 5 people. But when I was first starting, I did it for 2. You know, I would go, and again, it's an opportunity, maybe get some people to look into just kind of getting readings with me. So yes, okay. Okay, you know what, Lori, that's a great question. How do you handle a skeptic? And I actually have a story to share with you about this. One of these people that I would consider a drag along came in, and again, a lot of these examples that I'm going to be giving you are when I was new to all of this. So this woman came in, and I am telling you, visually, you could see armor around her. I mean, I shouldn't say visually, in my mind's eye, I could see armor around her. And it's like, oh my gosh. And you know, it's that whole thing. I mean, you know, you start thinking, what am I ever going to be able to say that's going to get this woman on board and feeling like she could go along with this? And it was almost like she's sitting like this, and like I said, and then energetically I'm seeing that stern nature. So what do I keep hearing, right? I'm closing my eyes because I remember this so vividly, and I keep on hearing Mother Mary, Mother Mary, Mother Mary. And I'm looking at this woman and I'm thinking, what could Mother Mary possibly have to do with this woman? But I have learned not to censor myself, and I've heard that the hard way as well when I don't give the information I'm getting. So I'm hearing Mother Mary. So I just looked at her and I said, for some reason, I'm feeling a really strong Mother Mary connection. And this woman, it was like the sun came out on a cloudy day, gets this brilliant smile on her face and says, I work with Mother Mary all the time. I say the rosary every day. And when I tell you, I literally almost fell out of my chair. The reading just went famously from that. So when you're dealing with a skeptic, what I would suggest you do is do what you do with every other reading. You've set the tone in your little speech prior to people coming back. If anybody's not comfortable or whatever, you just allow them to, you know, not be brought back. If they do come back and it's just, you know, they're very shut off and you just can't get anything on them, you could maybe have a conversation with them. And if it seems that they're dissatisfied or going to be a little bit aggressive with complaints and things like that, then just offer to give them their money back. Again, this comes back to the you, and you do your best, but I will be the first to tell you that there have been people that have come in that are so shut off, and we know the free will thing, and it's like a test. It's like a test. I usually can get a glimmer of something, but there have been times that I get nothing. And, you know, I will tell you, honestly, I can't ever really think, except for that one time when that gentleman was so inebriated and wanted me to give him his guardian angel names, and I got the names right away, and then he started arguing with me about what the names were and started getting very aggressive. Now that gentleman, again, he had been drinking. But aside from that, I really haven't had that problem where I've had somebody that was totally shut down and I never had to give a refund. So what I would say is, again, when you're spending that little time driving on the way to the party, set the intention that only the best people are going to be coming, people that you can help, people of the light, and set the intention. Don't even put that out there. That really will help you quite a bit as well. So let's see. Oh, yes. And that is just a great question. Is it okay to receive money if I'm just starting? Here's a big yes in all caps. Yes. Okay. You will find that when you first get involved with this, and you might find that some of your friends and families know what you're doing, and what they'll begin to ask you is for mini readings. So before you know it, you're doing these little mini readings and you're not charging, because you certainly don't want to charge your family or your friends, right? So this begins to take on a life of its own. And before you know it, you're getting phone calls for these mini readings. It's really important that you realize your value, and that you realize that even though in some ways this might not really coincide with your belief system, what I would say is that it's time for you to examine your belief system. If there's any kind of a reason why you don't feel comfortable receiving this money, then ask yourself why. Is it a deserved thing? What's causing that? But yes, from the very beginning, you should charge for these readings. And that's why I'm saying to you that it would really help you to do these angel parties. And that's why I don't like to collect the money. Even now, I'll do readings out of a metaphysical store, and the woman takes care of handling all the money. She hands me a check when I leave, or she hands me cash. I don't even count the cash or anything until I leave. Now, again, it's energy. There's nothing wrong with money. It's energy. And you got to where you are right now by putting a lot of work into it. So now it's time for you to get it back. And the angels will always tell you when it's time for a raise. They'll always tell you what to charge. Just go into a little mini meditation. Maybe you feel to start $20 is too much. Well, then go to $15. Or maybe with your own readings, you don't know how much you should be charging. And again, this will be a topic that we'll discuss in one of these upcoming coaching sessions, how you know what to charge. But yes, you should be getting paid right from the beginning for what you do, because it is blessed to give. But let's face it, if you're giving, just remember about a well. If you keep on drawing from that well, eventually you get to a point where there's no more water in the well. So if you give till it hurts, energetically it will. You've got to bring some of these things back. So nothing wrong with receiving compensation for giving readings in the work that you do. And you'll often find that people might give you a bit of a hard time with that. They'll say, well, if you're doing the spiritual work, why am I, getting charged for it? Just ignore that. That's lack thinking. There's abundance everywhere, and there's no reason why you shouldn't receive it for what it is that you're doing. So yeah, that is a great question. Okay, let's see. Yes, money is your friend for sure. Are there any angels that are better to call? I think, again, whatever angels that you work with, I think that is so much a personal preference. I always have my guardian angels around me, so those are great ones to call when you're doing this. For me, I like to call Raphael when I'm doing the readings for the healing, all those examples I gave you, Uriel to make sure I'm getting clarity, Gabriel to help me communicate, and Michael for the strength and the power. So again, I think that it's so really unique as far as you're concerned. It's very individual as to what angels you like to work with. You might want to call on Archangel Chamuel because somebody's looking for something that's been lost and asking you about that. So you're going to call on Archangel Chamuel to help you find that. Or maybe Archangel Azrael if it's somebody who's in grief and talking about, dealing with the loss of somebody or somebody that's crossed over. And this could even be an animal and they're just looking for reassurance. And then, you can bring that angel in during the reading. You can, just call them in silently. If you want to include your client with calling in the angel, you can do that. And that's another really fun thing to do. I've done workshops on this. You could also throw this into an angel party as well and do something with getting angels' names. People love that. Getting guardian angel names for the participants in the party. So you could do that as well. There's ways that you could teach your own workshops in the same way that you're doing angel parties. And again, just ask a hostess if she'd like to host one of your workshops. Who are your guardian angels? And then make sure you know how to put them in a meditation, let them find out their names. Again, so much of what you're doing right now as you're starting out is really intuitive. I strongly suggest, if you don't have a regular meditation practice, to get in one. Whatever path you decide to take on this journey of this work that you're going to be doing, and I don't even look at this as work. This to me is passion. I've had people say to me, when are you going to retire? And I laugh, because I'm constantly doing new things, trying new things, and I would never retire from this because this is my passion. So as a spiritual teacher, you really have to decide how you're going to take care of yourself, how you're going to get your own intuitive messages. So I meditate without fail every morning and just clear my mind. And I'll be honest, there's times I can get off and get into it for 20, 25 minutes, times 3 minutes, and it's like I can't sit still. But at least I've gone. And if any of my intuitive advisors are trying to get through to me, my angels, my spirit guides, any ascended masters, I'm open to it. And it's really important that you give yourself that opportunity as you're putting so much out there to bring some things that are back. So just keep that in mind as we're looking. Look at these foggy glasses. See, I'm in Florida, so we have a ton of humidity here. Okay. What about charging before you finish getting certified? I really think that, again, is a personal preference. Obviously, you're not going to put that certification on your cards. You're not going to identify yourself as a certified angel card reader. But if you're comfortable with charging, even though you're not certified, that is a total individual decision. The big cautionary thing I would say here, and this goes for whatever it is that you're doing, just don't present yourself as somebody that is certified in anything. I know we've got some healers out there talking about Reiki and things like that. If you're a level 1 Reiki practitioner, that's the way you represent yourself. Because again, the highest, most important thing to remember is that we're always staying in integrity. Whether you're having an angel party, whether you're doing a healing, whether you're doing a reading, your primary goal is to be of integrity, because you're the light. We're light workers, and you're the light, and you always want to be shining that light brilliantly. So if you haven't dotted all the I's and crossed the T's yet on your certification, then I would say, just if you feel like you want to charge, that's fine, but just make sure you're not misrepresenting yourself as somebody who is certified. Okay? So hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Okay, how can I clean after and before readings? That is really very important, and that really goes for any time you've got people in your home. Even if it's family and there's been an argument or something, it's really important that you clear your space. What I would really suggest that you do is smudge. That's first of all smudging. Now you can use white sage, walk around with a smudge stick. If you're somebody who doesn't like the smell of sage, you can use a smudge spray. There's all different types of sprays that are on the market now. I always like to go organic, make sure they're as clear as possible, and you can just spray the area. Like sometimes if you're going into a home to do some kind of a party, they're not going to want you burning anything in their home. So you use a smudge spray. Another great way to do it is to use like either a belt, or if you have a little like brass bowl or crystal bowl. I use my crystal bowl a lot to clear energy. So using sound to clear energy is a great way to do it. And there's also a beautiful meditation that you can do where you visualize a ball, and I always use a rose quartz ball of light at the center or heart of your home. What you do with that rose ball is you slowly expand it. Now this is in meditation. You expand it until it encompasses the home. Now you can do this, like, even though you haven't ever seen the house where your angel party is, you can do this at that house. Just visualize it. Surround the house with this bubble, this rose quartz pure unconditional love bubble. What you're doing is setting the intention that anybody that walks into that door feels this unconditional love. It's great to use at home if you're having parties or there's a conflict in the family. I've had so many people use this technique and really say that it made a big difference. You can expand the ball all the way out to include the yard, your neighborhood, all the way out to the world. I'm not sure if I had that meditation up on my website. I don't know if it's still up there, but it is really a powerful tool to use during the holidays to really protect it. By doing something like that, you're infusing all the energy in the house with unconditional love. So you can use that as a clearing tool as well. I would really suggest just to remember that it's intention. Call on Archangel Michael and ask him to clear the house. It can be as simple as that. Or you can say an affirmation, my house is cleared of any negative or toxic energy. So I'm a bit of a sacred ceremony kind of person. So I prefer to do something a little bit more. Like usually when I first get back to this house in Florida, what I'll do is I'll take my crystal ball. I'll have to play that for you sometime. And I'll just walk through all the rooms playing my crystal ball and, clearing out any negative energy. So different ways to do it. I've heard a Feng Shui woman said that you just take a little bell, like a normal little bell, and just walk through the house, and you can do it that way as well. So yes, I leave that with you. Oh, that's not a bad idea. How about an angel party online on a Facebook page? Sure. That would be certainly something to explore and look into. One of the ways you could do that, again, you could do it on a Facebook page. There's a lot of free conference calling ability right now. And what you could do is set up a free conference call where you would be the host and bring people in that way. Have them pay either via PayPal. You could offer the opportunity to somebody else, certainly to include people on this conference call, or you could do it yourself. Facebook, I think setting up a Facebook page and doing something like that, you could do something like that in a closed group. So you could create a Facebook page, have a closed group, and then work out your payment in whatever way. The only thing that I would have to investigate with that would be how those readings would be private. Because unless you would just be messaging each person, it's an interesting concept though, because Facebook is certainly giving us many more opportunities. And yes, we will be talking about that as well. So it is something to think about. But that conference calling is another way that you could do a party like that and just have everybody come together. But again, this would have to be the type of party where people would be comfortable with other people hearing their readings. And I've actually been involved in gallery readings like that where we've all come together online and they've done that kind of thing. So yes, you could certainly do something like that. To me, I think the privacy would be something you'd have to really investigate, as well as how you would arrange your payments and things like that. Okay. You know what, Jennifer, we're going to talk a little bit about conference calling. I can tell you what one that I've used and I've had success with. I'm not familiar with the others. That will be a topic that we'll cover in the coming weeks and get into answering that question. You guys have got great questions, and I know there's so many things that we are going to be covering. So I really want to remind you that as soon as I can, I will get this up so that you can visit my YouTube station, which is my name, Susan Dintino. That's Dintino. So if there's anything you want to re-listen to or maybe take some more notes, it will be available. It should be up later this afternoon. So we'll talk about conference calling, email readings. We'll do all of that in upcoming classes. Okay. I can't seem to get it. Yeah, and you know what? I think this is a wonderful way to kind of, let's see what we're looking at here. I think this is a wonderful topic about confidence. And it's really probably one of the biggest challenges in doing this work is really having confidence. And what is it that it's going to really bring to us and to allow us to assist other people. The one thing that always has helped me is I'm constantly reminding myself that I'm just the conduit. You know, I will admit that when you're doing a reading and you're getting all these rave, oh my gosh, you know, somebody will go out and start telling everybody at the party, she's so great, she's spot on. And then you could feel each person getting more excited when they come in. And then as I feel that, I'm feeling more pressure thinking, oh my gosh, I hope I can get something for this person. But what you really have to do is focus on the idea that you are a conduit for this information. This is really not about you. It's about whatever information is coming through you that's going to be of a benefit to the person that you're reading. What I will say to you is that the more readings you do and the more you get positive reinforcement of what you're doing, your confidence will build, okay? I will say this, though, that there will be times that you're going to do a reading that maybe that reinforcement won't be so positive. And at that point, and this is what I have learned to say, if it doesn't make sense to you now, it will make sense to you in the future. Because remember, this isn't you. This is the angels, whomever the higher beings, divine beings that are trying to get through to your client. This is their message to your client. So there probably is something in what you've said that even though it might not make sense to them now, will make sense to them in the future. So what you want to do is just always remember that and have that phrase available and give yourself permission. Well, if it doesn't make sense to you now, it will make sense to you in the future. Remember not to censor yourself. Remember that your readings are always coming from a place of light and love. Know that if this is a loving message, it's divine guidance, and just trust it. And that's the biggest thing. I always say the biggest leap is from this third chakra where we're getting all the information into the crown to actually act on it. So I would say to you, something like these angel parties would be great experience. Maybe to build your confidence, you could do something where you're, just doing a one card draw for a few people. I know many people like to practice on this page, and maybe ask whoever you're reading for a little bit of feedback. And when you're giving feedback, you want to make sure you're being very kind with that, because again, each person, it's my belief, is doing the absolute best they can at any given time. So we want to be kind and do constructive criticism in what you're saying. And like I said, I've had readings done by excellent psychics that made no sense to me at all. And I just kind of said, well, and then maybe even as long as a year later, I would remember what that psychic had said and it made sense. So building your confidence, it's like working out with weights. The more you work, the more you build that muscle. So that's how it is with your own intuitive readings. The more you do them, the more confidence you're going to really create within yourself, and it's just going to make everything so much easier. If these parties seem like a little bit much to start with because you are putting yourself in that position, then try doing, like I said, maybe doing some friends. And again, if you're doing this in the beginning and you don't want to charge, or maybe ask them to treat you to a pedicure or something like that in exchange, doing something like that, or again, going on this page to practice and getting some kind of feedback, maybe working out something where you're doing a phone reading for somebody with a really positive approach with the feedback that they're going to be giving you. So confidence, I think we all struggle with. So certainly you're not unique, and it's just something that you really just, the more you do it, the more confidence that you'll build. And maybe even having a little affirmation somewhere on your computer, your mirror, that I am a powerful light worker. I know that's what we learned in angel therapy practitioner training. One of the first things, I am a powerful light worker. And in a time right now where the light is so important, really don't focus on, oh, am I going to be wrong with what I say? Am I going to be right? You want to just get out of the way and know that whatever message that you're delivering is exactly what that person is supposed to be hearing. Okay? So let's see. Okay. Okay, so for those of you that might have just tuned in, I want to just say hi, and my name is Susan Dentino, and I'm going to be coming to you like once a week. You know, I do travel, but once a week is what I'm going to shoot for, with some advice and tips how to get your CACR business started. I am an angel therapy practitioner, plus I have a multitude of Doreen certifications, and I do this metaphysical work pretty much full time. I have a radio show, The Night Shift with Susan Dentino on W4CY Radio. It's every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I won't be live this week because I'm going to Harry Potter World, but I will be live just about every week. And I do mini readings on my show. Also, New Moon Facebook Live. I am just getting so excited about these moon broadcasts I'm doing. And I believe, let me check my calendar. The next one is March 27th. I talk about the moon, what sign it's in, what it could mean to you, and I also do mini readings in that time. If you go to my website, it's susandentino.com, DINTINO.com. I also have an active Facebook page, and I pretty much blog or write something just about every day. So if you're a fan of my page, it'll start coming up for you. So it has just been such a pleasure working with all of you today, talking a little bit about angel parties. And again, just a reminder that this will be up on YouTube. So next Saturday, and that is, I'm going to look at the date, I'll be fresh from all the magic from Harry Potter World. So the one big thing I'm going to have is my wand. I can't wait to get my wand there. My daughter's coming with me, and I already told her I'm not going on anything that spins or is a roller coaster ride, so she's probably wondering, wow, what is this trip I'm in for? Okay, so this is March 25th. I will be broadcasting on the CACR page at 12 noon Eastern Time, so that's 9 a.m. Pacific. And I will be posting throughout the week. I'll come up with maybe a couple little tips throughout the week on the CACR page, kind of reinforcing what we've talked about today. So I am going to say goodbye. It has been such a pleasure being with each and every one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I will see you next week on Saturday. And what I think we're going to explore is, again, really this CACR survival kit. And I'm going to tell you some of the things that I think are essential to get your business going. So until next week, I wish each and every one of you a wonderful time. Remember the incredible light worker you are. Make eye contact with yourself and tell yourself that as you're building your confidence. And if you choose to have one of these parties, have fun. The most important thing, I pulled out all my Larimar to really remind myself that it's so much about having fun, so much about enjoying what we do. You're holding the light right now, and that is the most extraordinary gift that you can give the planet. Thanks so much, and I will see you next week.